worked with, albeit in different films, was George Lucas, of course.
Oh, yes. And I've heard stories. I have no idea if it's true or not, because you hear stories all the time. I've heard very interesting stories about this next film, which, as far as I know, I have completed episode 3. But there's a very distinct possibility, as has happened in every case, that when George comes back here in March, who knows? Because he's already said he will be, and he did the last time, and the time before that. I don't know if I finished. I just don't know. But,
well,
he was in the first one, of
Your
course.
2 Star Wars films are, of course, prequels to the one that Peter was in.
That's right, because his, in fact, was the last one.
It was episode 4.
I'm sorry, I've got it all mixed up. His, when I said the last one, I didn't mean that. I meant it came afterwards.
Indeed.
It was episode 4, which he played this character with this wonderful name, the Grand Moff Tarkin, and played it, of course, extremely well, and endeared himself to everybody. I remember ringing him up, these telephone conversations again, and saying, "What is a Grand Moff Tarkin?" He said, "I haven't the remotest idea, dear boy." Dear fellow, dear fellow. He used to write me wonderful notes, dear fellow. And always at the end, "May God's blessing be with you." As ever, our love, Helen and Peter. Always.
Even after Helen died.
Oh, right up to the last time we spoke or he wrote. And I have a photograph. I have quite a few taken, of course, during that recording. And he is laughing. He's not putting it on. He is laughing. But there's a photograph of the two of us at the entrance to the studio. I have it at home. I think it came out of a magazine. I don't have the original. And it really upsets me to look at it, because we're both standing in the doorway, and I'm pretty much the same height as I am now. I got my arm around him, and this was in 1994, which is, well, nearly 10 years ago. And I got my arm around him. And the top of his head is more or less just above the level of my shoulder. And he was 6 feet tall. He had shrunk so much, he'd been so desperately ill and borne it with such great courage. I mean, he became an institution at Whitstable. His funeral took place in the main street. I wasn't in the country, so I couldn't go. And they've got a bench there named after him, and he used to go to the Tudor rooms, or whatever they were called, every single day for his lunch and possibly his dinner. And no, the Broughtons cooked his meals for him, kept an eye on him. They were wonderful. But every day I think he'd have lunch in the Tudor tea rooms. And people used to come up and talk to him, and he was quite happy about it.
I think he used to have to sneak out the back sometimes.
Well, yes, I suppose so. Yes, I've had to do that myself on occasions.
Has it ever occurred to you that in years to come, when people watch the Star Wars films back to back, Star Wars may be perceived as your final collaboration with him in a strange way?
Well, in a way, although we're not in the same film. And Lucas, in his introduction to your book on me, the authorized screen history, did something that he's never done before, to the best of my knowledge. He's never written an introduction to a book about an actor. But he does mention, if my memory serves me correctly, that he'd used Peter Cushing, and then he felt that it was inevitable that he would use me. Although there was 77, was it? To, what was it, 2000. So that's a 23-year gap. I think he wanted to fill that gap.
Well, I think we're all very glad he did. Christopher Lee, thank you very much.
Not at all.